Micheal Saylor trying to explain Bitcoin to Dave Portnoy. I'm really curious about this. Wanted to check this out. My name is Token Chef. None of this is financial advice. I'm a cartoon monkey, so take that for what it's worth. Let's check it out, baby.
I've sold it. I've bought it. I got screwed by SPF. I own 14 Bitcoins.
How long ago is this?
I tried to buy.
2 months
I'm
ago.
always chasing. And whenever I'm chasing, there's one name that comes up that is, I don't want to say mocking me, but he's like, the price is the price. You're still early. It's low. He, I would say, is one of the most well-known, if not the most well-known face in Bitcoin. So Micheal Saylor, welcome to DDTG. Here we go.
Oh, he's in studio. That's cool.
In the studio. And Micheal showed up about 20 minutes ago, and I want to wait. Look at the setup we got here. I want what we talked about, because we have the video of the Winklevosses telling me Elon Musk is going to outer space and raining gold down. Confused me. I sold it. You just buy 400-something thousand Bitcoins with your company and you. So if I want to know what I got wrong about Bitcoin, or explain it so I understand it.
Shocking how much Bitcoin he is.
I think let's talk about it in sports metaphors. It's like, first of all, there's some games that you can't play, you got to watch. And if you're just watching the game and the team wins, that means your season tickets are going to get more expensive next year. But there are other games you can play. You go into a casino and you play the game, but you know the game's rigged against you. There are some games where the house wins, you're not winning. And Satoshi created a game that's rigged in favor of the individual.
Is he a real person?
Satoshi is a real person.
Do you know who he is?
Gone but not forgotten.
Do you know who that person is?
We're all Satoshi. We're all Satoshi now, Dave.
Okay.
Right? The most important thing to know is that, like Prometheus gave us fire to warm you up, Satoshi gave us a game we can all win, right? And Bitcoin is that game. It's, there are certain things where, like, you don't want to be on a network where they can censor what you say and they can.
Are you in crypto and don't hold Bitcoin? Are you one of those people? Like, that's so insane to me. That's crazy.
Freeze your account. Bitcoin is a monetary network where it won't censor where you send your money. It won't freeze your account. And it's engineered in such a way that on the margin, you're winning the game over time. So think of it like, wouldn't it be great if you had a basketball team, you had LeBron James, you had Michael Jordan, and you had the digital version of them, and they played forever, and you could get on the court and play with them, and they're scoring 100 points and you're scoring 2 points, but you're all getting rich together and you're all winning together. That's what Bitcoin is like. It's like everybody gets to play. Everywhere in the world I go, there's like a fan club. There's hundreds of millions of people that are on Team Bitcoin. You should join Team Bitcoin. The 100 million fans would be rooting for you. And the great thing about it is you don't just win the game, you get wealthy while you're winning the game.
So that description is something, and we talked about a little bit outside. I've always said, I've heard Bitcoin fans also say they buy it because they think it's good for humanity. And it's not even about making money necessarily. It's about good for society. I've been very clear. I'm on the make money side of things. And by the way, I believe eventually I got to a point, thought Bitcoin got too big to fail, too many people with money involved in it. And that's why it's interesting to me. So when you're this heavy, and I think you said you just about outside of BlackRock own the most Bitcoin in the world.
Yeah.
Is that,
God, could you imagine? That's so wild to be able to say that.
As a good investment financially versus trying to save mankind, if that makes any sense. How do you break it? Did you do it? This is what I think the best way to put my money is, or like I said, it's a moral decision.
I think it's both. I think we got to play the game of life, and half the game of life is economics. And so you have to play the economic game, whether you like it or not. So you can put your money in a Lebanese bank and use Lebanese currency. The government inflates the currency, the bank freezes your assets, and you fail at the game of life. You can put your money in any asset in Africa, or you can put your money into Bitcoin. So the real appeal of Bitcoin is everybody in the world. I mean, they don't want to put their money in a bank in the middle of Africa. You can put your money in any asset in Africa, right? But Bitcoin gives you control of your money, right? And
I don't think he cares. I don't think
is that
Dave
egalitarian?
cares.
Yeah. Is that humanitarian? Sure, it is. Is it economically smart? Yeah, right. So they're connected, right? You have to have economic empowerment if you're going to achieve whatever you want in life. And to be economically empowered, you have to be on a network that won't freeze you or censor you. And you got to have an asset that nobody else can debase. No corporation can.
Yes, most elegant dragon. Elegant dragon just talking about Portnoy's shitcoins. Stool farting is called jail stool. And it's not doing terribly right now. I might actually buy in. I think I might buy some jail stool.
Screw up. No country can screw up. And that's what Bitcoin represents.
So when we were out talking, and Michael,
most elegant dragon with a good name, dude. I think I'll start investing in BTC like a retirement account. If I live overseas and it's difficult to create a retirement account when you live outside the U.S. as a U.S. citizen, I think only Vanguard has options. Yeah, I 100% agree, man. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm freaking buying Bitcoin for my retirement account, man. Bitcoin is going to give me my 100 acres of land. That's going to be generational family house I'm passing down. We'll see.
It was red pilling me before we going on the air, which is always a problem you have when you meet somebody, and we were just talking for 25 minutes, and you gave an analogy that I never really heard or thought of, which I think is worth re-saying. And you were talking about cyber New York, essentially, or cyber buying property as though, if you could buy property in New York in the 1600s and then you sell it. And what I thought was interesting is not everyone can buy cyber New York. You get the United States, but you were talking in terms of Bitcoin. If you want to re-explain that analogy, I thought that made a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's certain places where the land values go through the roof. If like the land we're standing on right now in Miami, it used to go for $10,000 an acre, and now it goes for $10 million, $20 million an acre. It's up by a factor of 1,000 in less than 100 years.
I would think it's got to be more
Hamptons,
than 20 million.
Same in Manhattan.
That's insane.
I grew up in Faribault, Ohio. The land in Faribault, Ohio did not go up by a factor of 1,000. Right. The land in the middle of the swamps or the land in the Rocky Mountains doesn't go up. So if I gave you the chance to buy up all of Palm Beach or the Hamptons or Manhattan, anytime in the past 100 years, it would have been a good deal. In fact, in 1650, you could have bought Manhattan. 1700, you could buy land in Manhattan every decade for the past 300 years at a price higher than the person that sold it to you bought it for, and it would still be a good investment. The only thing that slightly slows you down is the property tax, but assume there's no property tax, you would buy it and hold it forever. Now, if you're an African or South American or Russian or Chinese, you can't buy land in the United States easily. You don't want to own the land in Africa any more than you want to own the land, in the middle of the Rocky Mountains. It's not going to appreciate. So Bitcoin represents cyber Manhattan. It's 21 million blocks. Everybody with money in the world is going to want to put some of their money there, right? How much of their money? Well,
his analogy being that New York, or that Bitcoin is the prime real estate of the crypto space, that every other token or chain is these lower quality, bad investment type land. Although, 100 years ago, any land was a good investment, although New York is a better investment, but still any land was a good investment.
If you lived in Lebanon or Iraq or Syria right now, the money you have in Bitcoin you still have, and the money you have in the local bank you don't have anymore, right? If you need to leave a country or flee for your life, and that happens a lot, the money you have in Bitcoin you get to keep. The money you have in land or buildings or local currencies or a local bank, you lose. So Bitcoin really represents that strongest, greatest city in cyberspace, and it's going to be the center of the digital economy. Like, the really nice thing about it is when you're buying a block or 10 blocks of Manhattan in the year like 1900, you don't know what people are going to do with it, but you kind of figure that all the smart people will move to New York and they'll want that land to build a building on it. And you're going to get wealthy because you're holding it. The same is true with Bitcoin. If you're living in Africa or China or Russia or Argentina and you buy Bitcoin, you don't really know what you're going to do with it. But guess what? MicroStrategy just bought $2 billion of it this week. I know what I'm going to do with it. And I bought it at 100,000. So if you bought Bitcoin at 5,000 living.
So you're the
in
Michael
Cuba.
Jordan. You're the Michael Jordan of the analogy, in which if you're buying Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, you're just buying forever. You're never going to stop buying.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep buying. I joke. It's like you said, well, is 100,000 too much? And I say, look, Dave, I'll be buying it at $1 million a coin,
Right.
and I'll probably be buying it at the rate of $1 billion a day at $1 million a coin, because that's what I do. Just like you're like, crap, Manhattan real estate's really expensive in 1930. It's a lot more expensive than 1830. I'm like, well, 100 years later, we'll still be buying it and we'll be paying a lot more. The only issue is, can you hold it for that time period? Because people are going to want to buy it.
During the course of this, since you really got involved 2020 COVID, we talked about it a little bit early. You're a smart guy, MIT guy. Have you had any doubts at any point? Like, oh, I picked the wrong horse, or you just steadfast, or were you willing to be like, what? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I go bust.
In March of 2020, we all get punched in the face, and for 6 months, you're like, well.
Hi, my name is Bruno Breezy. I'm a creative coder.
Do I move to Miami? Do I get in the stock market? Do I buy Bitcoin? What do I do? So for about 6 months, I spent trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And we discovered Bitcoin. And I thought, well, it's not without risk, but everything else is worse. Everything else is a fast.
Elegant Dragon said, never really thought about Bitcoin valuation growing in the future that way. Yeah, dude. Of course. Up only forever. And by up only, I mean sometimes down. But mostly up only forever.
Death or a slow death. So I'm going to do something new. Over the next 4 years, the risk got taken off. The administration embraced it as a commodity, and that was one risk factor taken off. And then we got the ETFs, that was the second risk factor. And then you got the Trump administration embracing it and the red sweep, that's the third risk factor. And then MicroStrategy, we bought 250 million. We bought 250 million at like 11,800 a coin, and then it crashed 20%, Dave.
Yeah.
And we lost $40 million in the next week and a half. And that was.
What are you doing when
Wow.
that happens? Are you like?
I'm figuring out how to buy the next 250 million, because I'm in, you're in. Once you're committed, you're in. And I'm like I'm gonna.
This is it, man. Like right now, I'm not buying Bitcoin right now because I believe the other investments I'm making are going to grow faster than Bitcoin. Then I will rebuy more Bitcoin later. But with Constellation, DAG, and Most Elegant Monkey Ever, I'm freaking in, and I just keep buying them. And even when they're going down, I'm more bullish, and I keep buying, and I'm looking for reasons to stop buying, but I can't find the reason to stop buying.
Ride it to zero, or we're going to win.
Right,
but
right.
I've decided I want to win.
Win huge.
And I knew that if I didn't play the game, I was certainly going to lose. So, that was the difficult time. But then Bitcoin rallied, went back to the all-time high. And from August of 2020 to about a month ago, we raised $10 billion because everybody got behind us, and we had a strategy and we committed to it. And then there's the red sweep and big November, and we raised $15 billion.
The only thing he didn't include in risks, besides for like quantum computing, which I don't think is a risk. I mean, I really don't think it's a risk. But it's really when the block rewards get cut. When we just transition to a purely fee-based network, are we going to have enough transactions to maintain the network? That's the thing that I'm a little nervous about. Although we have many years till that occurs, so it's not a concern at this moment. But that is a risk.
In 4.5 weeks.
And you just take that and you buy more Bitcoin.
So now we put 25 billion into the network. But it's like, decide what you're going to do with your life, focus, commit. And yeah, you're going to get punched. You're going to get beat in the face a little bit. You'll take a few.
All right, let's here's the $1 million question. Let's put on, and you're my financial advisor hat.
Yeah.
Let's say my net worth 100 million. What percentage should I have? And I own 14. It's a small portion
At
of what
least
I have.
5%.
I've been beaten,
Minimum.
lost, chasing. If you're my financial advisor, I say I don't need this money for 10 years.
Yeah,
50%.
I would say you take your money and you divide it between scarce, desirable real estate you want to live in that you like this place.
Yep.
And then I say you take some and you put it in like a big tech.
Elegant Dragon asking about the quantum computing be able to break Bitcoin encryption in 10 years. So what does that mean? just that if the quantum computing could break your private key, your address, your private key that runs your addresses. But when that occurs, because I think it's a when, not an if, Bitcoin will just fork. We'll fork the network. They're working on new addresses that are quantum resistant, but Bitcoin is not going to do any sort of fork, or the Bitcoin network is not going to do any sort of fork until it's forced to. So when that situation occurs, there'll be a fork, and that'll be it. It'll be drama. I'm sure the price will dump for a day. The fork will occur. Everything will be fine.
Stock portfolio, maybe Magnificent Seven or things you like, and you take another portion, maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 20%, maybe it's 30%, somewhere in that range, and you buy digital property, you buy Bitcoin with it. So 2% probably, that's an insurance policy,
Yeah.
right? 2% is an insurance policy. You're not going to get rich buying
Right.
flood insurance for your house. 10%, you're a player, 20, 30%, you probably make a lot of money. And if you're a maximalist, you go to 50% or 75%. But at that point, you're really focused upon that.
And then the last thing before I let you go.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask in this world, and I asked it already, a lot of people are Bitcoin. I asked, are you only Bitcoin? Do you other crypto? What are your thoughts on the crypto space? We know how you feel about Bitcoin, but all the other coins and everything going on, like what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So my view is Bitcoin is like a protocol, it's an asset without an issuer. When I'm promoting Bitcoin, it's like I'm saying electricity, fire, English, math, and Bitcoin, Dave. Like teach your kids those things. And then you say, what do I think about other investments? I'm like, well, that building might be good to buy. That Picasso might be at a good price. Maybe you should buy some NVIDIA. Maybe that's a good price. Those are 100,000 investments. You have to be the expert. If you're an expert and you can play that game, then you should. I have nothing negative to say about it. But what I'm saying is if you just want to take some amount of your money, hold it for 100 years and not worry about it, you want the world's global dominant economic protocol, the capital protocol. And
I agree with him in this situation. Bitcoin is unlike any other crypto asset. It is its own thing. It has no competition. That's it. It is the digital money, as long as everything continues, as long as no dramatic failures. But it is the digital money. There is no person behind it. There's no one you can kill. There's no one you can do anything to stop it. Every other crypto token out there, you're betting on somebody. If it's a meme token, you're betting on the community, or you're betting on the quality of the meme. If it's a utility token, you're betting on the people that are implementing the utility and implementing the partnerships that are necessary. Bitcoin is in its own class, and Bitcoin is the only thing I'm comfortable recommending to like normies who are not in the industry at all. Just say, hey, just buy Bitcoin. You don't need to think about it. Just buy it. It's fine. Where everything else, there's definitely a higher risk play. So it's Bitcoin its own claim.
So I say Bitcoin is like a savings decision. I just want to save my money without someone effing with it and taking it. Everything else is you're an investor and you're playing a game and you got to make your own decision.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
So MicroStrategy's Bitcoin company. You guys just sit around and watch a chart on Bitcoin go up.
Yeah.
What is like a day in the life at MicroStrategy? Everyone walks in, they got the Bitcoin shirt.
So there's a lot of investors in the world that aren't allowed to buy Bitcoin. Like in the UK, they won't let you buy Bitcoin in your retirement account. So they need to buy a company, a security. So sometimes people buy our stock because they have to buy a company and they're not allowed. There's hundreds of trillions of dollars of money, some of it with professional money managers. They're not allowed to buy Bitcoin. They're allowed to buy Bitcoin companies. So some people buy our equity for that. Some people are bond investors. They want the upside. They don't want any downside. How do I get the upside of Bitcoin, but downside protection? I need a bond sold by a company that's all Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin crashes 90% tomorrow, the bonds pay off.
Right.
But if you buy 100 million of Bitcoin and it crashes, you lose $90 million. So some people want downside protection and they want the upside. So what MicroStrategy does is we offer the bonds, we offer the equity. Also, our equity is twice as volatile and twice as performant as Bitcoin. There are a lot of like hot money gamblers, the options traders, they want 10x leverage.
Right.
They don't, or they want to sell the call option. If you actually hold a share of MicroStrategy and sell the call option 30 days out, pays 200% interest, Dave. So there are a lot of traders, and they all have their own strategy, and they can't do that strategy without a publicly traded company in America on regulated exchanges, on the CME, on the NASDAQ, that has financial filing. So MicroStrategy is a bridge between the capital.
You see, sometimes it's like an extreme advantage to be a small retail trader, to be nimble, to not have to follow all these guidelines that the bigger players have to do. So even if you think sometimes the game might be rigged for you, or market makers are dumping the coin or pumping the coin or whatever, like, it's an advantage to be nimble.
Markets that are traditional, that have hundreds of trillions of dollars, and the crypto economy, which is global, offshore. And we're taking this scary, high performance, volatile thing, and then we're giving it to people either as 2x or half x or 10x. And it's a fun business.
Last question. Will Elon Musk ever get to outer space and mine gold from outer space and it rains plentiful on Earth? Or was that just cockamamie?
He will get to outer space, but by the time he gets there, he won't mine gold, because the gold won't be worth that much. There'll be a lot more valuable things to find in outer space than gold.
All right. There he is. I appreciate the first, I think, live guest we've ever had on this. And look, the chat's filled, but I'm going to make some decisions on the red pill. I keep saying the last question, you said 100 years. Is 10 years long enough of a wait to buy it?
10 years, if you're going to hold your capital, hold your investment for 10 years, then Bitcoin's a great idea. I'd say the minimum is 4 years. Bitcoin's 100,000 right now, Dave. No one's ever lost money buying Bitcoin. No one's ever made money if they're short Bitcoin right now. So if you're looking for 4 months or 4 weeks or 4 days, you have anxiety. If you got 4 years, you're okay. If you have 10 years, you're going to look like a genius. Okay. So, hey, my pitch to you is join Team Bitcoin, man.
As long as you're still playing.
Elegant Dragon saying, I think gold will always hold value. Too many people around the world believe it has value. Yes, but that's the thing that he's talking about is the comets. When we can mine comets or asteroids from outer space and they're filled with gold, and we can triple or quadruple or 10 times the gold supply on the planet, the value is going to be dramatically less. Unless, of course, there's a new technology that requires gold.
Hundreds of millions of fans, everybody in the world will love you. And then when Bitcoin...
And you can even think, Dragon, like when we're on Mars and we're trying to transact value on Mars, are we going to send gold to Mars from Earth? No, we're going to send a Bitcoin transaction that's going to take, I don't know, 10 hours to get there or 24 hours to get there. But once we're interplanetary, gold is no longer going to be a monetary instrument, likely.
Goes up, you're all winning together. So join the team, Dave.
All right. I appreciate you coming by, neighbor. Micheal, Saylor, DDGG. We're just crammed in my little office, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was great. Thank you. I'll walk you out. I'll be right back to recap that, our first ever guest. That was great. I appreciate you coming by.
Is that it? Why we got 10 minutes left? Are you leaving? Okay, let's see what he's got here. Oh, come on.
Design the perfect voice for your brand with 11.
The dude owns.
Do you think that convinced Dave Portnoy to buy more Bitcoin? I don't think so. And I don't understand how you got Saylor here for like 15 minutes. He physically came to your office? Will you talk a little more?
400,000 Bitcoins. 400,000 Bitcoins. I think he red-pilled me a little bit. See, I've never had anybody, and by the way, it was a little bit complicated because I told Micheal to get here at 9:10. He got here at 8:45. So we're sitting here for 25 minutes, 30 minutes just talking Bitcoin, and he's already said everything. We're looking out the water where he lives. I like the cyber real estate analogy a lot. Like, you can buy real estate, always goes up. Not everybody can buy real estate in these prime areas. Everybody can buy Bitcoin. I like that. That resonated with me. That made sense. But the sports team, just rooting for a team, that's kind of what I've said about Bitcoin. That has been like, Bitcoin, it's too big to fail. You've heard me say that. I believe in Bitcoin, not because I believe necessarily in like all the different what is the word for like high high moral vision or like egalitarian or whatever. I don't believe in that. I believe people want to get rich. And that's kind of what he's saying. It's like, it's a team that's getting too big to fail. Root for your team. You have guys like Micheal Saylor, who's always going to be buying Bitcoin nonstop. Jordan, LeBron, they don't get old. All these people pouring money in, be on that team. Now, there's other stocks. He said it. He's like, yeah, the S&P, same thing to a degree. Like if you buy, stocks always go up. Rule number one, a Davy day trader. So I never thought I'd have Micheal Saylor sit in this little office, though. Like I got peaches like poop on the carpet. He's walking in. So he's saying about 20-30% is a good number. So for me, I don't know, 10, 12, 20 million in Bitcoin. Let it sit for 10 years.
Okay. So the one thing I would say, like, do you think that worked? Do you think that freaking worked for him? If we look at right now, what Elegant Dragon brought up before is right now Portnoy is in this thing, in this chart called Jail Stool. Somebody launched a meme token on Sol. Somebody launched this, and Dave bought in, and then he bought in heavy. He said he's going to hold. He says he's going to do all this thing, and then people started selling on him. So then he got so angry, and now he's like fully committed to this coin. Chart doesn't look great at this moment. We'll see. We'll see. So he wanted to try to create, like, I get with him like the sports team thing, and if he can get, like, I'm thinking if this coin fails, that might be the end for him on meme coin trading, and then maybe he'll go full BTC and just go play for the winning team. You know what I mean? So if we look at Jail Stool, it's really freaking funny, actually. So he put out an ad of like, hey, make this, whoever makes the best commercial for Jail Stool, I'm going to pay them 100,000. So I just sent 100,000 worth of Jail Stool to what I felt was the best ads. And that guy who got the $100,000 worth of Jail Stool dumped it immediately for USDC, which is fucking hilarious. We'll see. Pay attention to the Jail Stool chart here if this works out or not. You know, can it break this level? If it doesn't, we're in trouble, dude. And Portnoy's going to get really upset. But if you want to look at some positions in Jail Stool, like Portnoy said he's going to say Jail Stool next time he's on TV or whatever. Up to you if you think it's worth the buy. Dragon's got one more thing. They said 20% increase in value over 10. No, Dragon. Saylor recommended that he put anywhere between 10 to 30% of his portfolio into BTC. 2% would be like a hedge. You're not going to get rich off of it. 10% you're starting to play the game. 30%, you know, like you're in it. So we'll consider that. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this channel, subscribe. If you want to support my work, I'll put a Bitcoin address down below. Check out Most Elegant Monkey Ever for the best meme coin. Check out Constellation DAG and Quan for 2 of the best utility tokens in my view, at least. Until next time, stay elegant.